Hey everyone, Once Bitten here. So this last weekend I attended Grail Quest 2016 in Durham, North Carolina. This is a tournament I've gone to for every year in the recent past. It's my favorite tournament of the year every year because it it allows for kind of a wonky list building. It's themed around being able to bring more monsters. So most lists here are either monster heavy or they're specifically designed to counter monsters. So it makes for a nice twist, and I really enjoy it. I decided to bring my beast herds because I felt I could bring just the ultimate monster mash list. So this is my army on the display table. I'm going to go through my list and then do a few more close-up pictures of some of the models here and talk about the tournament overall. So, decided for my character build. So of course I'm going to have battle reports, 5 battle reports covering this tournament. So it'll be the same list for all of them. I'm just going to point back to here if people want to see the list. But leading it with the Beast Lord on a Razor Tusk Chariot. So I gave him the Bluffer's Helm, Sword of Strength, the Talisman of a 4+ ward. So basically this guy has a 1-up armor save, 4-up ward save, and he's +1 strength. So he's strength 6, and the pig, of course, in the chariot is strength 6 in the charge. I like that high strength stuff. What I liked about this guy too is that all units within 6 inches get a +1 to their charge. So, when I have a lot of my monsters are on 50 millimeter wide bases, you can actually get quite a bit of things within 6 inches of it. So I like that. He's not really somewhat vulnerable to cannons, I guess, but I don't think people are going to be shooting at him with cannons really because he has the 4-up ward, so if they do hit him, there's a 50-50 chance he's going to ward save it, and the monsters tend to be a little bit scarier. So then I have my Beast Chieftain Battle Standard Bearer, and he is on a Rock Auroch. I kind of modeled and repainted a model for that. I'll show you in just a minute. Really happy with it. So this guy's, he's a totem bearer because I think they're great, and he's got the Crown of Scorn and the Ether icon. So I don't have a spellcaster. This guy functions like a defensive mage, and then he's got 4 bound spells, which is an interesting combo. Um, I think he's in this tournament, if you take a character on a monster, that you have basically 11% of your points you can invest in monsters from any book, any book at all, and you can put a character on any monster in any other book other than your own, and it can be a mount, and that works. And if you do that, then that unit is scoring. So that this way, my Battle Standard Bearer is a scoring unit at movement 7, so he's somewhat mobile if I need him to go seize an objective or something. But he also has an 18-inch bubble, which I thought was great. He's movement 7 Swift Stride, get him within 6 inches of the Beast Lord. He's movement 8 Swift Stride, and keep in mind with those totems, I can add D3 to the charge. So this thing, the Rock when it charges, does 3d3 strength 7 impact hits. And I really liked having that such a strong impact hit game with such possibilities for such long charges. I've got my Centaur Chieftain. I need to name this guy. I mean, this guy, is, with few variations, is the same build in all of my games. I think he's just great. He's a totem bearer. He's got the Impaler, so this mobile bolt thrower. And I took off the Hardened Shield. I gave him the Lucky Shield because I didn't like the Hardened Shield, how it lowers your initiative in combat. Sometimes I need this guy to get in there and need him to strike first. So he gets, the first hit he can just shrug off. After that, he's got a 4-up armor save. And after that, he's somewhat vulnerable. Then my core. I've got 2 units of 20 Wild Horns. These guys are almost fully kitted out. They have full command, throwing weapons, they can ambush, and they have the Blooded Horn totem, which means bound spell, power level 3. They cast the champion casts on his own unit, and it's +1 attack, armor piercing 2, which turns out from a very meh unit to a possibly very effective unit. The only thing I didn't give him was it was a shield or extra hand weapon or anything. So I like those 2 units ambushing to take care of war machines and stuff like that I know I'm going to be facing. Plus, get these guys charging your rear, and they can cause some problems for people. I have a unit of 10 Wild Horns only because I had a few points left. They're scoring, and there are a fair amount of points that you can get in every game just by getting a scoring unit into your opponent's deployment zone, and I figured a unit this small, I could just put him on the opposite side where all the action is and just tell him to go. And if my opponent diverts anything to go get him, then I don't care. That's fine. Then comes my chaff. I've got 5-man unit of gargoyles and 3 individual razor tusks. I think the Beast Herd book is very, very strong in the chaff game. I'm still really proud of the way this book is designed. I think it's very flavorful with its strengths and weaknesses, and one of the strengths that we gave it was being having a variety of good chaff. These things have a very small footprint, very mobile, and still pretty tough. I like them. Then my monsters. Now I want you to know this is a 5,000 point tournament, and I can bring all five of these monsters without even that, the weirdness of the tournament itself. So I've got a ambushing beast giant, 3 Gortak, and a Jabberwock, and I'm telling you, I had so much fun playing with these guys. What a great tournament. It was so much fun. I really like having the beast giant and 2 units of Wildhorns ambushing. It's enough to really make people pause, and there's always a possibility that people ignore it, and that sets up some great opportunities for me, or they don't ignore it and sometimes gets in their head and allows me some advantages otherwise. So that's the list. So again, a picture of the army. Except for except for those 2 ambushing Wildhorn units, you just see what looks like just a bunch of beasts from the beast herd. So if you watch my channel, you've seen this one before. This is my general. Very proud of this conversion. I'm somewhat proud of the painting of the Beast Lord and the Chariot. The Minotaur itself is okay. I'd almost like to do him over again. The Rock I need to make a little bit brighter, but for the most part, I love that model. I think it stands out. I think it's just epic. Very, very happy with it. This guy was a buddy of mine, gave him to me for free. He's an old metal model. His hand was, let's see, his left hand was broken off or had purposely been taken off. And he was just kind of beat up. So I stripped him, did some conversions on it, and then painted him. And I'm actually really happy with how that turned out. So I'm using him as one of my Gortak. The middle and left model here are my other 2 Gortaks. I can tell, I don't know if you can tell, but I can tell the order in which I painted these. And the good news is my painting's getting better. The bad news is now I look at the older ones and I want to repaint it. And on the right is my ambushing beast giant. Still very, very happy with that conversion and happy enough with the paint job. And this was I might be more proud of this paint job than anything I've ever done. This thing is awesome. So obviously an old Games Workshop Vortex Beast, and then I took a Avatars of War Beast Chieftain and mounted them on the top of it. And I'm happy with both paint jobs. Really happy with both paint jobs. But the Vortex Beast, actually, who I'm playing as a rock, actually has a cool story behind it. This is part of, I'm going to advance to the picture. This is a picture from a game that I never made a battle report from a few weeks ago. If you look at the picture of the Vortex Beast here, and my BSB is on foot behind him because he wasn't mounted yet, of course. That was given to me by a fan of the channel, Simon Rosenkist from I think Sweden. Sent me his old Warriors of the Dark Gods army just because he was moving, wasn't going to play anymore, wanted it to go to a good home, stuff like that. And so I pulled it out, and it's a good paint job. You see it's kind of purple with blues and reds, but it didn't really fit the look of the rest of my army. I think mine is a little more foresty, a little more gritty. So what I did, kind of following along the lines of when I painted my castle, where the underlying color is really important and you just want to put something thin over it, I took a super, super thin coat of this camouflage green and didn't completely cover it, but kind of hit a lot of areas with it. So when you look at it, it looks like it's green, but it actually has a lot of tonal variation there. Those blues and purples and reds kind of peeking out in seemingly random ways from underneath. I'm really proud of it. It looks better in person than this picture, and I think it looks pretty good in this picture. So not to brag on myself, I'm just saying I loved how that turned out. I made the tentacle things coming out of his mouth more slimy, and of course mounted the Beast Chieftain on top. If you look in the lower right-hand corner, that's a picture of what he used to be and what he is now. So it was a good-looking model before. It was a good paint job. The one on top, I think, just looks so so awesome and fits my army very well. This is a lineup, the picture taken, I think, during Game 1 of what this army looks like if I just put them in a line. Which I didn't necessarily just put them in a line every game, but yeah. And so wrapping up with one last one. So one thing I can say, I'll let you deduce from my battle reports how the tournament went for me, but I can tell you I had 5 really fun games. And when version 1.2 came out, a lot of people are expressing discontent with some of the changes. And to me, there's two things involved there. One, there's changes in the core rules, and then there's changes in the army books. And the core rules changes, I never really care about that. I think it's, the core rules they're just fine. They're a great game. If you didn't know any better, there's nothing to complain about. I think what most people are complaining about is because they can't play the same kind of army list they're used to playing, and I understand that. But what I liked about this tournament was that, based even with this monsters exception rule with these monsters in the list, the games, there was nobody I saw that showed up the list and the list played itself. Every game I had was really strategic, and both of us, I was making mistakes certainly, but I felt like it was a strategy. Decisions in the game mattered, and nobody showed up with a list against me that the list was going to do all the heavy lifting for them. So I had a blast at 5 fantastic, really fun games, and yeah, as I said, I'll be putting the battle reports up sometime within the next week or two.